Hi, everybody. This is Melissa Shea. I'm joining you for a Fireside chat, and I have my new guest here. It's Aaron King from Cobalt Construction, and he is from Melbourne, Australia. So as most of you guys know, MBH is a global company. And so when we think about Fireside chats, for you, Aaron, where is a fireside chat? If you and your mates were going to go out and hang out by the fire, where would that be for you?
Yeah, look, I'd probably say camping or on the beach, or even, in a nice, I'd even say in a pub, as most of the UK guys are probably saying as well. I think you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, the pub, right? Yeah, I always say for me, it's by the beach. I live by the beach and we do bonfires and stuff like that. And it just shows that and it's kind of symbolic of who our company is, that no matter where we are in the world, we all have our fireside chats, and it may be in different ways, but we all talk about the same things in business, right?
Absolutely. Always networking.
Very cool. All right. So tell us a little bit about you, Aaron, who you are and where you're from, and then what kind of business you're in, and a little bit about Cobalt.
Sure. So look, from Melbourne, Australia, we brought in Cobul Constructions in October 2020. So about this time last year. What brought me to Cobul was, Cobul was just an amazing business in the ACT market. So it's actually not located where I am. It's actually in Canberra, which is another state just outside of Victoria. Canberra market's quite small, so it's a really niche market, quite heavily predicated around, government, and it's really driven by government spend. So, what attracted me to Cobul was the fact that a lot of its clients were government clients. So shortly after joining Cobul, we brought it into MBH.
So that's interesting. You actually, you didn't found Cobalt, right? You bought Cobalt, really?
Yeah. We brought Cobalt into MBH and then became part of MBH. And I think the benefit from being part of MBH is obviously having that large consolidated balance sheet that we can use as an anchoring point to go out and tender for larger projects and really, solidify a place in the market.
Very cool. So what is Cobalt? What do they do?
The Cobal's a construction management lump sum contracting firm. So we'll look after projects on behalf of the government and a lot of their departments. So we'll manage some contractors, and we're basically managing the project from start to finish.
And so you rely heavily on government contracts, right?
Yeah, I mean, we service a bit of the private sector as well, but the reputation that Cobal's built over the last 20 years since it was founded until we bought it, and even today, it's built a great reputation in servicing the government clients, and I think having that reputation in the past is really helping us today, because when a local government in the ACT gets a new contract, then one of the first points of call is Cobul Constructions.
Oh, that's cool. So who was the founder? What's a little history about the 20 years it's been around?
Yeah, sure. So the name Cobul stands for, it was founded by Vince Cassetto and Mark Bully. So Cassetto, Bully, Bull, Cobul.
Oh, Cobul.
So that's how they came up with the name, and they ran the business for 20 years until they sold it, and we brought it into MBH.
So they bought it because they were retiring, or they just?
Yeah, well, look, I think they bought it because it was more of a succession plan for them. They're still in the business, actively managing the company. So Vince is still the managing director. Mark's still looking after the guys on site. So they're very active within the business. It wasn't a, buy and leave kind of thing. It was more so, what's the next stage for the business? We've got it to the place where it is now. How can we get it to the next stage?
Very cool. And so you rely heavily on those government contracts. How did that be affected with COVID? Did they pause all the construction? What was that like for you guys?
Great question. A lot of the government contracts that we deal with are mainly in the education department. And I think the fact that there were a lot of lockdowns, it didn't really slow us down at all, to be honest. It did to some extent when we obviously couldn't work completely. Right. That was for only 2 weeks, the entire 2 years of the lockdown.
Wow. The rest of it, 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks. So, I mean, the rest of it, construction was only shut down for 2 weeks, but schools and stuff were shut down for many more months. But during those other lockdowns, when schools were shut down, it actually provided an opportunity for us to go and do a lot of refurbs on school buildings, because, schools are out, there was no children around. So the government can actually put that spend into getting things done and being productive while people weren't at school. Because I think that's the hindrance. When there's kids at school, it's very hard to actually do the work and everything that you need to do to get the jobs done.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a growing pipeline, which is great.
That's great. That's great. So, all right. If you were to give advice for anybody coming on MBH, what would you tell some company that's thinking about coming on? What do you like about MBH?
I think the good thing about MBH is there's a lot of different principal partners as part of the group that have a lot of experience in their own niche, which
Right.
really helps if you decide to tap into, their expertise and what they offer and what they can bring. There's certainly a lot of value to be derived from every single person within the group. And, at the same time, everyone shares in that value. So if
Yeah.
you're extracting knowledge from someone else who has a specific knowledge in one niche, I mean, if you can extract that knowledge and bring it to your benefit, ultimately the whole group's going to benefit either. So it really is, one family or one group of principals working together to create, one great business.
Yeah, I think that's one of the amazing parts. I really look forward to all of us meeting in person one day, but it is nice that every time I get to talk to somebody, we have some similarities or some ways we can synergize, so that's a cool thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And what advice would you give for somebody who's thinking about investing in our company as MBH? Particularly investors, what do you think makes our MBH stand out from other companies?
I don't, from my knowledge, I don't believe there's any other businesses that are publicly trading that are structured similarly to MBH. There are obviously, a heap of diversified holding companies that are centralized by one kind of management, but there's no companies that are centered around the owners of those businesses continuing to run the businesses. So I think the fact that it's very owner-centric with SME owners makes it quite appealing.
Yeah,
And
I think
it's
that was
a different model. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any model like that either, where they keep the owners in place and allow them the platform to grow in their expertise. And which for us, I think you can't buy that kind of talent. You know what I mean? Like that and that passion. Nobody's going to care. You can't hire managers to do what we do because we love our staff.
Absolutely. And I mean, you see it time and time again in the private equity space and even in the public space. They'll buy a small to medium-sized enterprise business, and then the management will leave. They'll bring in new management, but the new management don't have a care for the business. They don't understand the culture. They don't understand the client's needs. They're just not familiar with it, and things start to tank. So if you can, being part of a platform where those owners who actually understand the culture, their employees are their family. They understand the clients, they understand the business like the back of their hand, having them as part of the group and having lots of them as part of the group. I think that's a very attractive proposition to the continuity of the group.
Yeah, I really enjoy that a lot. And we all learn from each other to make our businesses better. So I think that's a unique proposition. So yeah, we encourage obviously investors to think about investing in something like this because it's a long-term play, right? It's not, just increase the value real quick without any long-term stability. So yeah, very cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. So Aaron, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Fireside Chat. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're just as busy as all of us here, and I hope to see you in April in UK, and that'll be nice. Very cool. Thanks
for having me, Melissa.
Find out more today at mbhcorporation.com.